probably should do that.
That's honestly, I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten in here and like started recording a podcast and nobody hit record.
Don't jinx us.
This is 33.
It's crazy. It's crazy we've done 33 of these.
I did forget to plug in the mics, but figure that out as soon as we put our ears in.
Oh. I was like, no, you didn't. When did you do that?
A minute ago. I was trying to check levels, and I'm like, that sounds really open.
Ooh, man.
Some effects.
Nice. Don't burn the microphone.
No.
Did you smoke this one? The Don Pepin?
Last time.
Garcia?
Oh, no.
You haven't smoked that one yet?
That was the San Diego guy, and I said, I tried to get 2 Connecticut's that I'd never had before. So I never had that one and the other one.
It's a good smelling one.
That's a good smelling one. I've had a cigarless week.
I have not.
I have not smoked a cigar since we smoked and recorded last week at this time. Been busy. It's like I was gone for a month and I had to come back and catch up for a week.
We went down to Waco.
I'm going there Wednesday.
For the weekend. And so when we're down there, it's a pretty relaxed environment, so I can take my time, and I smoked a couple. It's nice because you don't have to hurry through them. When you're not in a hurry, that's the best time to smoke cigars. Uh-oh. I forgot my water.
Don't do that. I got my Topo.
Can you see that in the camera? Okay, good.
I only like the lime. I don't like the regular Topo. I do like myself some flavored sparkling water, though.
What is that? Is it Waterloo that you drink?
I do, yeah. Waterloo as the cans. And you would be amazed at how many people think I'm drinking beer. When I have one of those, like I'll take one with me Sunday morning to church for rehearsal. And I've had more than one person, which is ridiculous, say, "Oh, starting early, are we?" I'm like, first of all, I'm at church. Like, second of all, it says Waterloo on it.
I mean,
it does look like one of them fancy new seltzer things, though.
I had a Coke Zero the other day. It's like a new one. It's a new alcoholic beverage or something. And I was trying. I don't drink
Coke
that.
Zero?
Yeah, it was a Coke Zero, like Jack or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And so it looks incredibly just like a Coke Zero. And so it reminded me of a couple of times where a student has accidentally brought, an elementary student specifically, has accidentally grabbed the wrong beverage out of the fridge, out of their beverage fridge, and parent has to come and pick it up.
That's what happens with that?
I don't remember. I know that's what they did at the school I was at the time. I don't know what the actual policy is,
I've had a neighborhood kid take a ginger beer out of my garage fridge here. Because like in the summertime and stuff, when the kids are playing, the garage is just opened up. But it was a ginger beer, which is non-alcoholic. So,
I don't like ginger enough
love ginger.
to have a ginger beer.
My favorite alcoholic drink is a mule, which is vodka, ginger beer, and lime juice. Ooh. I like ginger
vodka,
ginger beer, and lime juice.
Okay, I would try that.
I like ginger with everything. I like ginger ale. I like cooking with ginger on our food when we make like Asian or like Chinese food. I like it. Do you like horseradish?
No.
It's kind of similar, so yeah. Yep.
When the wife got on a Topo Chico kick during COVID, which you couldn't find it because they closed the border down. So we went down to, I don't remember, we went on like a little weekend trip to stay in state.
I didn't know this was legit. Sure enough, Monterrey, Mexico. What do you know? Imported mineral. I got Mexican water. They say don't drink the water in Mexico.
Unless it's in a bottle.
Oh, there we go.
anyways, we went on a kick. She got on a kick and wanted it. Couldn't find it. So we went to HEB and I was able to get it. So I bought a case of it. Yeah. And I think we still have some in the car.
You see the case over there? Like that's the Costco case?
Uh-huh.
I think it's 18. It's either 18 or 24. We go through one of those. What do you think of the HEB hype? HEB has a following, you know?
Like, it's kind of cultish.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good selection. I like it.
They have I tightened my microphone stand earlier, so it's not going to, I hope this doesn't make a lot of noise. That's a little better. They have a type of their brand of coffee. They have a few different flavors, right? And one of them is Texas pecan, and my wife loves it. So,
well, I'm allergic to tree nuts, so I do like coffee, but I cannot drink that. I have found that I like the Sprouts Black Espresso, but it has to be whole bean, and I grind
your own, yeah.
Yeah, I just it tastes much better.
Other than that, I don't get the HEB hype because they do have all of the like Whataburger products. Like they'll have the Whataburger like ketchup and which is like, hey, I'll do like some Whataburger spicy ketchup. But now like the fresh, the Berkshire's Fresh has it too. So
I feel like it'll definitely be a success where it's coming in.
Yeah, we're getting one.
But to me, it's not much different than a fresh.
Yeah, it's just cool. I mean, but anyway, I'll be in Waco on Wednesday, and anytime I head down 35, I always have to come back with some Texas pecan for the wife because we're going to pass an HEB.
I meant to ask you, how many times did you stop at Buc-ee's on your trip?
Really, just once because you run out of them. Twice. There was one in Amarillo when we stopped there.
Okay.
So we did the one here, went the wrong direction backwards, 2 exits to start off the road trip, and then we hit it in Amarillo on the way out, and that was the last time we had a Buc-ee's because there's none in New Mexico, Arizona, and then we came back on the southern route. And we wouldn't have passed one because coming up 10 turns into 20, turns into 30, and there's none in that direction.
There's not one in Abilene?
I don't think so. Yeah. Buc-ee's is missing in West Texas. I got Amarillo, if you consider that West Texas.
It's the Panhandle.
Yeah.
I know we're going to talk about this in a minute, but can we please get someone on the national media to take a Texas history class so that way they know exactly where the geography of Texas is? Is that bothering you, by the way?
I don't know what you're talking about.
We'll dive into it in a second.
But I do agree that just like we take Texas history, every other state should also have to take Texas history.
It's an interesting class to teach. It's a stretch though for a year long.
We have a great history. Our state has a great shape.
It does have a great shape.
Like you ain't making waffles the shape of Wyoming.
No, definitely not.
It was just a square waffle.
Well, I guess you technically do.
And nobody wants a California shaped waffle.
No.
It's not going to fit on the plate right.
I know
Texas is perfect.
This is not on the run sheet, but did you watch Gavin Newsom on the podcast? One of the podcasts. God dang it! I knew I was going to forget his name.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. He's making the podcast round again. I would imagine you'll see him on some bigger ones coming up.
Oh yeah,
Sean Ryan. He was on Sean Ryan.
I listened to that one. Yeah,
yeah.
I do that one like Rogan. I pick and choose depending on who the guest is, but I didn't see Gavin on there.
I think it came out yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, definitely, that's why.
Yeah. What is your go-to Chinese food? Like if you're going to a Chinese food restaurant, not sushi.
Yeah, Chinese. We're not talking buffet. I'm talking have to order off a menu like a PF Chang's or something like that.
Or just, your local Rice Express.
It's always orange chicken.
That's a solid choice.
Yeah. They, here at the little shop, they make it spicy. Like it always has like little serranos in it. Theirs is pretty spicy. I like it. And
talking about the one right here about the Exxon? Yeah.
And it's kind of like as soon as you get the words out of your mouth when you're ordering it, it's ready.
I don't know how they do that.
Fast.
I don't know how they do that.
Now it has slowed down a little bit because every once in a while we'd be hanging out with the neighbors like on a Friday night, and we'll DoorDash, or you don't DoorDash, you can just call. They do delivery.
Yeah, they do.
So
delivery, yep.
we'll call it in. It used to be like you get off the phone and it's like you look and there's a dude pulling up, and it's like you're at least 5 minutes from my house. But I think as the town has grown, they've slowed down a little bit. Last time it was like 30, 35 minutes, and I was like, "Dadgum,
That's very fast." And the portion sizes are so big.
They are.
So we went to
They have good egg rolls.
We went to Mesquite the other day, and so we stopped at it's called Chan's. It's in Mesquite. Yeah. And I got me thinking, like, I order the same thing no matter where we go. Chicken lo mein, no veggies. And then my wife, or one of my daughters, always gets sesame chicken. And then I'd like take a couple of the sesame chickens out and put the lo mein noodles on top of it. And we are not basic, by the way. Clint is not basic in his orange chicken.
No.
That is not basic.
That's not basic.
Chicken fried rice with no veggies. That is basic.
Popular doesn't make it basic. Or maybe it does. But now, if we're doing Panda, I'm doing some Beijing beef, and I'll do the lo mein noodles when I do that.
I don't go to Panda.
Why not?
I just don't like it.
Really?
If I'm going to do that, I'm just going to go across the road to Rice Express.
Yeah, if I'm here. But if I'm not here, then I see a Panda and I can drive through, and like eating lo mein driving down the road takes a talent, but I got it mastered. Got it mastered.
Okay, they say your Panda Express order is not
basic.
Not basic. I'm just a hard no on Panda.
Yeah.
I won't eat it. I'll just go to the next restaurant next door or something. Whatever it is. Just get a burger probably.
I do. Yeah. I really don't get anything else.
Yeah. Mine's not super complicated.
Now, buffet, though, you go all protein the first plate. You don't get any rice or noodles the first plate when you're doing the buffet. Because if you go rice and noodles on the first plate, you're not going to be able to eat as much. So first plate is all protein.
Okay.
Which is basically chicken 47 different ways.
Correct.
I don't trust fish or shrimp at buffets. No, they have a lot of it, but I don't trust any fish or shrimp at a Chinese buffet. I don't care how nice you are. But yeah, then on your second plate, you can grab
that steak has got to be almost well done.
Oh yeah, we ain't doing nothing medium rare over here. And then you can go with some lo mein or some rice on your second plate, and then if you want to hurt yourself the next day, you go for the third plate.
You always go for the third plate.
You always go for the third plate, but then there is some regret.
No on buffet sushi, by the way. Someone on the Twitch asked, and no on the conveyor belt sushi.
No, I like that.
Oh,
what's
Mr.
wrong with that?
Brunson, I have had food poisoning twice.
From one of those? Is it the one over in
belts.
Plano? It starts with a K. What's the name of that? Kumo,
yes,
like
over
that?
there off of Spring Hill or Spring Creek.
Man,
Spring Creek in 75.
I like that place.
I got it once, and the wife got it twice.
Now, I've only been one time, and when I went, it was super busy, and so like,
okay, maybe it was fresh.
There were lots of open spots on the conveyor belts coming around. If you're there at like 3:00 on the afternoon on Tuesday, it's probably not a good time for conveyor belt sushi. Saturday night was okay.
No, it was not good for me. It was not. Yeah.
If
Never
you get
again.
sick off a restaurant, will you ever go back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think I've. The only other place I ever got what I think was food poisoning, but it could have also been gorging myself, was one of those like all you can eat steak restaurants, like the Brazilian restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
And
you get
man,
the meat sweats on that.
I got so sick, but I think it was my own fault. I'm pretty sure it
Yeah,
wasn't.
if you fill your stomach with nothing but protein.
Yeah. And then I had lamb for the first time. It tastes like feet. I've never eaten it again.
And we have a good friend who loves lamb. But it's
I definitely think it was cooked not properly. I mean, it was definitely cooked properly. Hold on. It wasn't to my liking.
Sure.
And maybe I just didn't have a sophisticated enough palate at that time of life.
I don't know that I've ever gotten sick from a restaurant, but there are certain foods at certain restaurants that don't agree with me. For example, I love Nashville hot chicken. You got a Dave's hot chicken or a Hattie B's, I'm going to eat that. We went to Rodeo Goat with some friends Saturday night, and they now have their hot chicken on the menu all the time. It used to only be on there for the battle. They'll do the battle of the burgers,
Right.
you know?
Okay.
It's called the Firebird, and they used to only have it on when it was in the battle, but then they finally put it on the menu full time. And so every time we go to Rodeo Goat, I get the Firebird. It's their Nashville hot chicken. I love it. But Chick-fil-A's spicy chicken,
Oh, every time.
There's
I order
something
it.
in that.
It's good.
No.
I like it. You don't like
See,
it?
he doesn't agree
with
with me. There's
Man.
something. There's some kind of spice they use or something. Like I did. I think I tried it 3 different times. I was like, "Yep, definitely this." Because you get kind of sick, and you're like, "Well, maybe it was something else."
No,
It was.
that's the Lord's chicken. It can't make you sick. You must have
Well,
just not been living right at that
I
moment.
think I don't know about spicy chicken being the Lord's chicken. Spicy chicken might be for the new converts.
Maybe.
Those that are on their way. then you tame down and settle down and get the regular good Lord's chicken. But on the way in, they got the spicy chicken just to get them in the door. It's how it works.
I guess. So I want to get on my soapbox for a minute, then I'll hop right off. It won't take long.
Speaking of Chick-fil-A and kids, one more thing.
You're good. Keep going.
So we grabbed some Chick-fil-A at some stop on on the way back, leaving Las Cruces, we grabbed Chick-fil-A for breakfast. And I got just the big old boxes of chicken minis, and I'm like, we'll figure it out. And sure enough, they did. We just passed the box back there to the kids, and they figured it out. But you know what was so crazy? The only kids who ate the chicken minis in their form were my 2 teenage daughters. The 4 younger ones either had a chicken nugget or a biscuit, but they wouldn't
Mix them.
and they wouldn't even eat the other one. Like some of them just had biscuit, some of them just had chicken nugget. They weren't even eating it separate, but it worked out in the end.
Yeah, I was about to say, it works out for you. You don't have to buy a double.
Kids are weird.
Tell me. So my youngest is on a kick where he doesn't want to eat meat. And like his go-to for like his entire life has been steak. And now like the last month and a half, he doesn't want to eat it. And I'm like, all right, what's wrong? What's the deal here? So yeah, that's been weird. Here's my soapbox rant. Soapbox rant. I hate going to car dealerships.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I do too.
I don't like buying cars. We've talked about this before when your daughter was buying one.
Yep.
I don't like going and getting my car serviced because I feel like I'm getting scammed no matter who I'm dealing with. Yep. I just hate it. The wife's car needed to be serviced, so I call, and I just feel gross when I leave there. And I don't know why. They were very nice, very friendly, 5 stars all the way around. But soapbox ended.
It's a big expense. It's stressful, and you always feel like there's something behind the hidden curtain. That's what I told my daughter whenever we went in. I said, hey, you're going to see your dad be a different person, but this is how you got to be.
Well, they're
you got to be aggressive.
This is a new dealership that we've dealt with. We've always bought Toyotas, and we bought a different brand this time, which is fine. Neither here nor there. I think I've said it on the podcast before, but I just felt like there were a lot of people there doing nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Like I look around and all these people look busy, but I know that look. They're not busy. They're not doing anything. So there's my rant. And also it just takes forever. Like I don't feel like it should take that long to get my oil changed. It shouldn't take 3 hours or however long it took.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
I'm being a little bit over the top on that, but regardless. Not as busy of a week. Oh, I do want to tell you this. I know as we get into football, we'll talk gambling a little bit more because we're both degenerates when it comes to NFL football. I will never gamble again on NBA Summer League. I got a little excited on Cooper Flagg's first game. Took the over and was way under.
He was way under? Mm-hmm. How did Bronny come out?
Under 2.
I thought Bronny might be under when you sent me that bet. I was like, Cooper Flagg might hit it. Just come show off.
It was 24 and a half. And I forgot that they had shorter games too in the Summer League. And so, but I mean, heck, he put up 31 on Saturday or Sunday. So
I saw he's not playing it anymore.
Yeah, he's done. He proved his point. I don't think he needs to play anymore. I mean, it was very obvious that he was the best player his team and the 2 other teams that they played. He was obviously the best player.
How's that injury that he had in the championship?
It's fine. He's fully recovered.
Okay.
I mean, they may be taking some cautionary stuff, but I mean, if he
what
averages,
was it?
I don't remember, an ankle, I think.
Okay.
I think he rolled his ankle or maybe sprained his ankle in the ACC tournament. But yeah, I just don't. He's going to be good.
Yeah.
He's going to be good. And it'll depend on like how, I know you don't follow the Mavericks as close as I do, but they picked up D'Angelo Russell to kind of play point guard while Kyrie's out. Earliest predictions that Kyrie comes back after the All-Star break. that's probably a little bit too soon. But I would say if we make the playoffs, he has a good shot. So, and spring training starts next week. Not spring training. Yeah, it is. It's called spring training with Cowboys. Starts next week. Are you excited?
Yeah. We have football this month.
I know.
It's the last day of the month, but we have football this month. That's what gets me by.
What?
That we have football this month.
Okay.
It's the end of the month, but the month's already half over. I feel like it.
Yes, it is. It is going fast.
My sister-in-law posted on the Facebooks today. She said it went from July 4th to July 14th in about 3 hours. And I feel like it did.
Well, especially for you.
I mean, we
travel.
But that's when we came back. We were back on July 6th. So I feel like as soon as we got back, it's been the rat race.
So just a couple of small points before we hop into the big stories of the week. The big stories of the week, Kerrville, obviously the flooding in Texas. The Epstein list, which I know Clint is very excited to talk about. Mm-hmm. The 1-year anniversary of Trump's assassination attempt.
Yep.
And then I would arguably say that Abbott's special session agenda was announced. So those are kind of the big stories for the week that we'll hop into here in just a second. But before we get there, CNN does this thing where it's like, we are the 70s or we are the 80s. So we just happened to swing by and I was flipping through this channels of trying to find something to watch when there's no sports on. And it was We Are the 2000s music. So we're sitting there with the two older children and they're listening and they're like, oh yeah, like they knew every song, which my parent and dad heart really, really liked.
It's good parenting.
Good parenting. Some of the music, not so good, but at least they had a general idea. But there were some that I did not know. Mm-hmm. But it got me thinking, are we still mad at Dixie Chicks for what they said about George W. Bush?
Well, they said it about Bush and they said it about Texas.
Yes, how they were ashamed to be from the state of Texas.
And so I'm not mad at them because, and we've talked about this before, like my favorite actor back in like the late 90s, early 2000s was Tommy Lee Jones. And he's the guy who introduced Al Gore at the DNC, right?
Right.
I just don't care. Like I expect entertainers to have different politics than me, but I'm really not on the cancel train. You got to be pretty bad for me to.
Right.
Like I watched Pulp Fiction again the other night, and Harvey Weinstein's name is one of the producers on that movie, and like you don't remember that because when you watched it before, you didn't know who Harvey Weinstein was.
It's a valid.
But then you watch it, I'm like, well, I'm not going to turn it off.
Yeah, and who would think that to go and look at who the producer of every movie was before you stopped watching it?
I mean, cancel culture, like people can go off the rails on that. Like it's got to be pretty bad for me to be like, I don't want you to get another dime from me if I'm listening to your streaming or whatever.
I like them. Like I think they had great music. I know the Twitch does not agree with that, but they're now called the Chicks.
Yeah.
And I don't like that name change, like from the Dixie Chicks to the Chicks. Then like Lady Antebellum changed to Lady A. Yeah. There was another one that I couldn't remember because I was telling my oldest about it.
Well, now that Trump got rid of all that, maybe they could go back.
I was wondering about that because then I saw Lady A on the radio.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if they would ever go back. Like the Dixie Chicks, I can understand. Like they needed to rebrand themselves anyways. But Lady Antebellum is just a time period.
Yeah. I thought that was a little bit of a stretch. They probably do too. But like Natalie Maines is the main one for the Dixie Chicks. She's the one who said all the stuff.
That's a good one.
I have a lot of respect for her dad. Floyd Maines played steel guitar for the Texas Playboys and Bob Wills and Texas Swing, and she's got a lot of history in Texas and music. And I don't like her, but I'll listen to her music.
Who is that? I'm sorry.
Dixie Chicks, Natalie Maines. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, and that makes sense to a lot of people, but makes sense to me.
I'm a big fan of Texas Swing.
Oh, yeah.
Like that Sleep at the Wheel. Yeah. That West Texas.
Yeah. Ray Benson.
Yeah.
He's helping King George do his benefit concert.
Yes.
He's going to be there with him. So,
like Charlie Daniels, that kind of falls in that country rock, but that also he has that swing fiddle in there. I had an uncle for a little while that played in a country jazz band. He could play the bass guitar.
Yeah.
The stand-up bass.
Yeah.
No frets.
No frets.
you'd find that impressive. I know.
Yeah.
What about Michael Jackson? The Twitch wants to know how we feel about Michael Jackson.
Still listen to his stuff.
Yeah. If it comes on the radio, I'm not changing it.
My middle daughter, the 13-year-old, loves Michael Jackson. Took a picture with his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which I didn't get to talk about that. Apparently, if you get canceled, your star stays on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Like, of course, you wouldn't expect Michael, but Kevin Spacey is still there.
Interesting.
Diddy is still there. Huh. But I guess they don't come jackhammer up your star. There's somebody else. It was Kevin Spacey and Diddy, and then I saw another one that made me think, oh, but I forget who it was. Oh, Bill Cosby.
That would be one I would think they would take up.
But if they still showed the Cosby Show, I would still watch it.
It's still on TV. You can still watch it.
Okay, because that's a great show.
It's on it's on one of those TV networks that just like Flex or something like that.
I think we just try to put too much emphasis on, because they're in our lives so much from the TV and radio and music, on performers. Like, why do we care so much what they think?
I don't know.
Like, people, they're so influential, and they get them out when it comes to election season and all of that. But like, you're an actor. Like, you went to acting school. You're good at faking things. Like, in acting, that doesn't mean I should listen to you, so to speak.
Okay, so the Twitch is correct. They said, didn't Kevin Spacey get acquitted of the charges? And according to quick Google search, yes, he was acquitted in a London court of all charges related to sexual harassment in July of 2023.
That's one of those things, though, where you got that many people saying stuff.
Yeah.
There's something there.
Then the Twitch says that the witness died. One of the witnesses died.
Imagine that. Got Hillaried.
That happens in the show that he has, by the way, House of Cards. Did you watch that?
Oh, yeah.
A great show.
I watched that twice. I started watching The West Wing again. I think this is my fourth time through
What's it on? I need to look it
It's
up.
on HBO.
Okay, I'll have to watch it.
Which just changed their name back to HBO Max.
Can we talk about that for a second? Why do they keep changing the name? I know why. It's because they sold the company and
Marketing,
they have to rebrand it. But
yeah, so it's on HBO Max, but I'm still in season 1. I just started it. I'm on episode 6 now.
I'll have to check it out.
A great show. I don't agree with any of their politics, but also I don't agree with their politics. They are a Democrat administration, but they are back. Like, they're the picture of the Democrat administration when it was still sane, and like they could still find common ground and work together on things.
Yeah,
it's a good show to watch for that perspective. People who disagree, they can work together.
I'm gonna have to tune in because I feel like it's very relevant to our podcast.
This most recent episode of episode 6, they're passing a bill, and in Ohio, a congresswoman passes away and her husband takes over her seat, which has happened before, right. Senate and Congress. Mm-hmm. Claire McCaskill out of Missouri was a famous example when her husband passed away, senator. And so his name is Mr. Willis, and he's an 8th grade social studies teacher.
Nice.
So how cool is that? He gets to go be a congressman for a few months until the special election happens. And so he comes in, and his caucus and everything is telling him to vote one way, but he gets talked into voting a different way after having a meeting with some senior staff in the White House. And that's kind of what one of the parts of the episode is about, is that there's still people who you can have a sane conversation with and a discourse with, and like have a meeting of the minds and compromise and come to a conclusion, which, is a rare thing, even more today. And so I just love the show. It's a good show.
I'll check it out. I promise. I'll start watching it. I got to find a show
it's summertime. You need to.
That's not intense to go to sleep. I usually watch very intense TV.
No, you can watch this and go, like, you can finish an episode and be like, it's not like a cliffhanger.
Okay.
There's like maybe 4 or 5 episodes in the entire series where it's a cliffhanger.
Okay.
Where it's like something crazy happens and you got to see what happens next.
But my go-to to go to sleep is Friends, New Girl, and Big Bang Theory. Those are my 3 that I'm like, okay, that can kind of ease the brain, because I've seen them all so many times.
Yep.
But yeah, okay. I will. It has officially been said that I will start watching.
I need a report next week.
I'll report back
on how many episodes you're in and what you think.
Okay, I got you.
And also, as a musician, like, the music is pretty cool.
Is it?
They don't do good music on shows anymore.
Okay, I disagree. Oh, well, yes, I agree.
There's a few, but it used to be like all of them had pretty good music.
Yes.
The West Wing has great music.
Okay, I'll pay attention to that. So I just started the new season of Dexter. Do you watch Dexter?
But my wife loves it.
Okay, so I went back and I rewatched all of like the one where after he leaves Miami, spoiler alert, if you want to watch the show, it's like 12 years old, but he leaves Miami and then he goes and he appears somewhere else and his son comes and finds him. Okay. So I rewatched that. That came out 2 or 3 years ago. I rewatched all of that season, which by the way, some of it I'd forgotten and some of it was completely wild. Okay. That season ends and he dies, supposedly. Yep. Well, they resurrect him. Mm-hmm. You know, he goes to the hospital and they get him back. But the first 2 episodes are out. It's called Dexter Resurrection. And the music is phenomenal.
Okay. All right.
Like I even told my wife, I was like, you got to pay attention because this is really, really good. But not a great show to go to sleep to because then you're chased by serial killers in your death in your sleep. So I don't suggest it going to sleep.
Yeah.
When I first watched that, I was in college, so I was binging it. And I was staying up really late because I was working on papers, but then it was kind of on like the screen to the side, so I was kind of half watching, half working. Well, then I got super paranoid that somebody was watching me. So I was looking over my shoulder, but I was the only one in the room, so there was no way anybody was watching me.
Oh, man.
So, let's see where to start. You want to just start at the top and work our way down?
Let's do it.
All right. The military came out this week. This is specifically for the Air Force. Came out and said no more short boots and no more lash extensions. And they even had a length requirement. So like it can't even be as far as that. Now, I will tell you, my wife is naturally beautiful. I don't like it when she wears makeup. I don't like it when she gets lash extensions. She wants to do something to her lip because she feels like her. I'm like, no, you're beautiful. Stop doing that.
There was a meme going around the other day, and it showed like just woman in like sweats and a t-shirt with a hair in a ponytail, and it was like, and it showed her like all dolled up with the filters and everything on the right side, and it said underneath it, men actually prefer this.
Yes.
The one on the left, women do this because of other women.
Yes.
The one on
correct.
the right. Like that is
correct.
So true. Like,
correct. 100%. 100%.
Yep.
And I just really found that interesting that first off, no lashes. Why do you need lashes if you're in the military? That was my first thought. I mean, just
especially
being honest.
in the Air Force, and things blow right off. Can't have those things going up in a jet engine.
And then like short boots obviously is for ankles, and
I didn't know there were short boots in.
I didn't either. I guess that's something that I don't know. They both came into play in 2022. Were passed in 23, and now in 2025 they're doing away with them for safety.
Says get rid of them short booties.
Yeah.
I missed that altogether. You're informing me tonight. I didn't know idea about the lashes in the Air Force.
Yeah, so that was great. And then as we watched this week, our Vice President J.D. Vance did lead the Marines up a hike at Camp Pendleton.
Yep.
And he took his family. Did you see this? Took his family to Disneyland while he was out there.
Yep.
I thought that was kind of cool. Newsom tweeted at him, and then Vance responded, which was fantastic exchange. I liked that.
Yeah. And again, like we've talked about with Hegseth working out with the military, like I like this.
Yeah, me too.
Like I don't think it's bro culture or toxic masculinity for your vice president to be able to go do a hike at Camp Pendleton. Like,
no,
I like that. That's a good thing.
And I would be willing to bet that he is 40. 41.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine that there will be like they rolled it back a little bit.
Wasn't he still reservist until
so.
And then he had to resign his commission to
I think so.
To be able to take the vice presidency. Yeah. So that's cool. I like that. Drove past Pendleton whenever we were coming down into San Diego.
Could you see anything?
We saw 2 Cobra attack helicopters on a pad with spinning up. Their motors are running. So I pointed that out to the boys, and I was like, those things are bad mamma jammas over there. See one of those coming at you, you're in trouble.
That is one thing. Every once in a while, we'll have the Chinooks or the Black Hawks fly over.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine the fire and fear of those things coming at you in an attack mode. I mean, that's crazy just to even think about it because they're so loud. They're so loud. Next on the agenda, by the way, the Twitch asked, will there be fantasy football talk in season? And are we a fantasy football podcast? Do you play fantasy football?
I haven't in about 3 or 4 years.
Me neither.
My son does religiously. He's the commissioner in 2 different leagues as a 10-year-old. But he also knows every stat. Now, sort of, because I will be betting and there will be prop bets, and that's similar.
So we are prop bettors, and thanks to Clint, he got me into that. So I have stashed a little bit of cash in the app in this break, although I did lose $15 last week or this weekend.
If I have any.
But I did okay.
I haven't played in a while.
I did okay. The Super Bowl got me.
Yeah. I kind of went all in. I'm logged out. I ain't going to try it. Yeah. But that's sort of fantasy. It's just, I guess I'll do fantasy when I got some money in it, but not regular fantasy. I haven't done that in years.
I haven't either. I don't feel like I have the time. So I did ask my brother-in-law if he could get me in a league.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe. But I don't. The problem is I'd go with my heart and my team. So like I would literally pick Dak Prescott versus Tom Brady in his prime. I'm picking Dak.
Yeah.
Just because I'm a homer.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm not a huge fan of fantasy football, but just because I'm not good at it. Just like I'm not good at betting.
Cowboys have cost me a lot of things in my lifetime, and money is certainly one of them. Because I do the same thing.
And like
I want to believe.
I want to believe it too. And the wife would have been upset with me, but I almost bought my son a jersey today when we were at Rally House. Had some on sale, and I was like, oh, that would be cool. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, it was Micah Parsons, and he might get traded or not extended. And then I have a jersey that I don't.
The only one I wish I would have gotten before they left was Jalen Brunson. I wish I would have got a Jalen Brunson Mavericks jersey.
I bet you can still find them.
I don't know. Honestly, I've looked. There's like 1 or 2 on eBay, but people wanted stupid money for them. It's back in the finals,
Yeah.
Those people want like $600 and $700.
No. Don't do that.
My son got a Knicks.
Okay.
Jersey.
I was going to say, I thought I saw one of your kids wearing one at one point.
Yeah. He's my 10-year-old's a big Jalen Brunson fan.
Also this week, the United States, actually this was announced today, the United States is made a deal with NATO to sell weapons to Ukraine, and the EU is picking up the bill. Thoughts?
I don't care as long as they're paying for it.
I don't really have a hard line on this either.
And I think, honestly, this is more of a thing for Russia than it is for anything else. It's part of Trump's ultimatum to Russia is like, we are going to supply them now, and if you don't end this, I just saw it. I was watching the news a couple hours ago. How many days?
I think he said 50.
I think it's that. I thought that's what I wanted to say,
Google,
but 50 seems like an odd number. Like you want to say 30 or 60, but I think it was 50 days where we're going to supply them with more weapons. But technically, the EU is supplying them with the weapons and paying us for them.
Around $10 billion. 50 days.
Hey, let's make some money.
That's a lot of money. Yep. Trump to supply missiles to Ukraine gives Russia a 50-day ultimatum. And kind of going back to last week's podcast, because I got somewhat called out on TikTok and YouTube for a clip that I posted about the conversation that we had about Putin being on stage and then not abruptly ending, but ending the conversation saying he didn't want Trump to
wait.
He didn't want Trump to have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
But then today or yesterday, Trump had a conversation. He was in the Oval Office, and he said that he really enjoys his conversations with Putin, and he feels like he's getting somewhere, and he feels like he's going somewhere. But then all of a sudden, there will be a bomb that goes off, and so I'm really struggling with how do you approach this in a way that it comes off as Trump. Hold on, Clint's fixing his mic for those who can't see. To where Trump doesn't come out of looking at like a fool. And I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I think the way you come out and not look like a fool is don't say you're going to do something and then not do it. It's like you can't be a parent who's like, do that again and I'm going to whatever, or you keep doing that, I'm going to take away your Xbox, and then you never do.
Yeah.
Or you keep doing that, I'm going to ground you, I'm going to take away your phone, and then you never do. I think that's when you look like a fool. But if he says you have 50 days to end this, or we're going to supply them with more weapons. And then 50 days rolls around and he supplies them with more weapons. And I think you just don't overcommit, which I think is probably hard for Trump. He can shoot it from the hip quite a bit. But I think if his team and Rubio and Susie Wiles can keep him grounded, then this will go okay.
My only thing about that amount of time is, you know what happens in 50 days? The Russian winter starts.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
They're not fighting in the winter anyways. So other than missiles, there's no ground fighting happening.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wonder if that is kind of like a ceasefire moment where, okay, we'll have 100-day ceasefire. Well, that's the winter.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of wait and see for me on that. I don't know how I feel completely about it. I want us to stay out of war. So if that leads us out of wars, I'm good with it.
Mm-hmm.
If we're also not spending any money to where it costs us and we don't lose jobs, which appears on the surface, this is what that looks like. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, but this is somewhat choosing a side on the part on the part of the U.S., which is
but
odd.
We've chosen a side though, right?
Well, what I'm getting at is it's really odd that people will say that Trump is in Putin's pocket or that Tulsi is a Russian asset, and we're essentially choosing Ukraine's side in this. We're going to supply them.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm glad to see, though, too, that you're seeing the EU pick up that part of the bill.
But I think the biggest reason they have to do that is a political one. I mean, first of all, Trump ran on not funding that war, so it'd be really difficult for him to go and fund it. But also they are providing offensive weapons now, not just defensive. Mm-hmm. And for the U.S. to provide offensive weapons to Ukraine says something different on the world stage between Russia and the U.S. So that's got to come through the EU.
Yeah, and excuse me, I kind of yelled there. I just think, too, we can't get into another 20-year war like Afghanistan. What is this now, 3? We're in year 3, maybe going into 4. Mm-hmm. Yeah, February will be 4.
Yep.
So it just doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. So we'll see. That's kind of the approach for today. Okay, on to the bigger stories. Kerrville and the Hill Country. So what I was going to say a while ago about geography in Texas is the national media keeps calling it Central Texas. It is not Central Texas. It's the Hill Country. And that really bothers me for some reason. I don't really know why. Like, I don't know why that bothers me, but like Central Texas is like further west or even further north. And that's the Hill Country. So as of like noon on July the 14th, there's been a reported of 130 dead and still 160 are still missing. So we went down to Waco this weekend. I have some relatives that work very closely with these types of situations, Swiftwater. The person that I was speaking to believes that they won't find these people. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the way that these rivers work, if you're not from this area or you've never been around Swiftwater like what you're talking about, and I didn't really even know this, to be quite frank, either. But what will happen is the bodies will get stuck underwater, and then the river will just completely cover them up. Right. Sometimes 30, 40, 50, 60 feet.
You've seen
of dirt.
Entire trucks covered.
And like not small trucks, like fire trucks completely covered with mud. And this is a complete tragedy. I want to send my condolences because like I don't want people to think that we're not compassionate about this. This is just a story that's happening, and we are a current events podcast. This is the biggest story of the country right now. So a couple of things have happened, kind of just talking points, and then we'll kind of go from there. Also, by the way, there's more flooding in San Saba County, also in Lampasas, Texas, mandatory evacuations all across that area. The river crested in San Saba County at 31 feet. Yeah. So as a perspective, the river in Kerrville crested at 43. Mm-hmm. So very close and very similar.
And that Lampasas River has crested higher. I think it was in 97. It's been interesting because you often hear about floods in that area and flash flooding in that area and the rivers flooding in that area. Or there'll be just trickles. I remember, we talked about last time, we float the Guadalupe River, and sometimes you got to call and see how the river's running.
Right.
You know, because
it may not be.
It could be anything from there are places in that, like, it's hard to imagine. Like, what did you say the Guadalupe crested at?
43 at peak.
43 feet. And
it was only there for minutes,
and
though.
I've been in that river where I had to pick up my tube and walk in ankle deep water to get over a high spot and get back in it. And like, that's the fluctuation that you can have in that area. And it's been interesting to me because I've lived here my whole life, but to look back at history and kind of see the ebb and flow of dry years and really wet years. And, but yeah, I saw a similar story where these people, many of them are essentially buried now below the river.
And the stories are coming out are just horrific. And I just can't imagine the terror in that moment of what they were going through. Just kind of a couple of other talking points. Trump did visit. Something I saw on the socials was a lot of the far left-wing media was really freaking out whenever it's Trump, Greg Abbott, and then the First Lady. The firemen are coming along. They shake Trump's hand. They shake Abbott's hand. They remove their hats, and they shake Melania's hand, the First Lady's.
Yeah.
And every single one of them did it. There was about 12 of them.
Saw that. And
first off, if you're not from Texas, then or you're not from the South, really, you don't have any idea what that means. It's just a sign of respect, 100% for a woman. You just take your hat off.
Yeah.
Just like when you stand when a lady leaves the table.
Yep. Or comes to the table.
Or comes to the table. You open the door. It's just that Southern hospitality thing. You take your hat off when you sit down at the table. All those types of things. If you're indoors, unless you're working on a podcast, you take your hat off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, those are just some things that it's just a nice thing.
Telling my son that the other day. He was wearing a hat inside the house, and I was like, "Hey, take your hat off." He's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because you're in the house." I don't know why.
So one of my rules when the boyfriends come over is I don't care if you have a hat on in the house. That doesn't bother me. My son wears a hat.
I think it's just a habit.
But when you sit down at the dinner table, there's two things that you need. There's two requirements at our house. One, you don't wear a hat at the table. Two, this is specifically for boys, you have to have a shirt on.
Yeah.
Like, just put a shirt on. It can be a tank top. It can be a whatever. It can be an undershirt, but put a shirt on. So those are just some minor rules in our house. But the boyfriends have never taken their shirts off. But I have had several conversations where I'm like, hey, man, like, you're in my house. Please take your hat off. And it didn't always go over very well.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, the current boyfriend, he has taken his hat off every single time. Now, I don't know if the message was relayed, but it's been taken note of. And I actually thanked him. I was like, hey, I don't know if you even did this on purpose or not, but definitely take your hat off when you're coming in. A couple of other things that happened that kind of tie into that. The Austin Fire Department, the union voted a vote of no confidence in the chief. They were delayed in their response to the river.
Over some money that was owed.
Some money that was owed by the state. And just kind of talking to some people, there's no way that they're owed that amount of money from the state. So how this works is the state, when there is a tragedy, we've talked about our rainy day fund. Okay. So whether it's the state troopers having to go down to the border, or the fire department of Austin having to manage the protests in Austin, or any other natural disaster where the National Guard or a state entity is having to go to this place, there is a code that you put in, and it's billed directly to the state, and it goes through a very short group of people that manage that, and it is automatically paid because of the amount of money in that fund. It's specifically earmarked for that.
And you got to get the money out quick.
Yeah. So according to the people that I talked to, there's just no way that that's true. They were paid. Now, does that mean that it wasn't?
Even if they weren't.
Even if they weren't paid. The human thing to do, the Texan thing to do, is to send those people.
Yes.
So they projected that they could have saved somewhere between 100 and 120 people. Now, obviously, these are projections, and there's 20/20 hindsight and all of that, But they should have been sent. Those are the best rescue, fast-moving water in the country. And so I just think that, man, that's just a bad call on his part.
Yeah. And he doubled down.
He did.
When it was first mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, he doubled down. And within a day or two, the fire department union voted a vote of no confidence, which is interesting. Kind of on another point about the cloud seeding, did you happen to watch? I know you sent it, but I don't know if you watched it. Did you watch the Sean Ryan one?
I just listened to it.
Okay. I want your thoughts, and then
I used to have no conspiracy theories about cloud seeding. Now, I know what happened over in Dubai. They overdid it. You saw those videos of Dubai just flooded.
Right.
You know? So I know it can happen, and but I've never really thought of cloud seeding as some big conspiracy thing and all this kind of things. I've always thought, no, they shoot this stuff into the clouds, and then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it can help it rain. And in some places where it's really drought, sometimes they need the rain. Maybe they shouldn't do it that much because you're really manipulating things, and you kind of don't want to do too much of that. But that's kind of been my thought about cloud seeding. And going into listening to this podcast, that was still my thought. Okay, they did some cloud seeding a couple days before these floods hit. But I was sort of the opinion that was not enough to cause what happened. But then after listening to that guy, I believed him a lot less. Just listening to him and how he talked. And I get it. Everybody's blaming you for this disaster that killed these children. You're going to be defensive.
The podcast is Sean Ryan's Did Cloud Seeding Cause the Texas Floods? And it's Augustus Dorico. And
he was on just a few weeks ago talking about it.
Correct.
And then, of course, Sean Ryan had him back on.
Basically to defend himself.
Yeah. But man,
his body language was terrible.
See, I didn't even see that. I mean, just listening to the guy makes it sound like there's something. I feel like we're not getting, because he even said, this is the thing, and I'll give you a specific example, and our listeners can make up their own minds and go listen to the podcast or whatever. But he said, we were doing this not even in an area of where that happened. But then you listen a little longer and you realize he was doing it in an area southeast of the area, and the wind pushed the storms northwest. Dude, I know how the compass works. Just because you.
So I heard a meteorologist explain it, that we're basically this area of Texas at the moment, and it still is. We're still in this between two high pressure systems. So there's a pressure system over the Gulf, there's a pressure system over New Mexico, and it's pushing all the moisture from the Gulf across the hill country up into North Texas and Northeast Texas. And we're getting a lot of rain up here too, not to that effect. And this was a perfect scenario to where that happened. So, and he said that they seeded they seeded two clouds, both of them dissipated and moved northeast right over this area.
Northwest.
Northwest.
He was southeast.
So moved northwest right over this specific area. So here's the thing that I'm wondering, and I was like you. I didn't really think that this had a whole lot to do with it, and I still don't, because when you watch the reports and the radar and kind of watching Texas. I mean, I'm not a meteorologist, but I've watched enough Texas storms to kind of know what's going to happen. Yep. I mean, been watching them for 40 years, right? Mm-hmm. It looks like a perfect scenario of a perfect storm. Uh-huh. Okay. But my question is, and this is my thought on this, is if they did seed it and it rained an inch, okay, and it caused that river to rise just a little bit. Well, now that water's already there. And now you're adding an additional natural rain on top of that.
Yeah.
Is that what caused it?
And here's the question I wish Sean Ryan would have asked. They were doing this cloud seeding on the Tuesday before. Okay? That's the day they started issuing the watches for the area, the flash flood watches for that area. He said they seeded on that day, but they suspended their operations on that day. But they're still cloud seeding on that day when the National Weather Service is issuing watches. I'm with you on that. I'm like, it certainly didn't help. And for him to come on and say, no, this had no effect on it, and I'm like, I don't think you can say that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Just based on what I've heard you say, I don't think he's helping himself at all. I know he's got to go take the interviews, because if you don't take them, you look even worse. But he really needs somebody who's a disinterested third party who doesn't have a dog in the hunt for him and his company to come and explain this. Well, and I've seen a little bit of that, and it's from some of those meteorologists, and they can't really say definitively. And like
Right.
that does not help either. Like, I don't think the area floods. And like, again, we talked about this. We're not just going to throw blame around. We're just like stating facts. That area floods, and there was a camp built right on the banks of a river that is known to flood from time to time. Like, those are the facts. But I don't think this helped.
I don't think
Why
it
are you
helps.
cloud seeding in the hill country
I don't know.
at this time. This time of year.
And that's what I can't quite figure out.
The 3 times that river has flooded have been in July.
Yeah.
The 3 big floods have all been in July.
And this is going to sound bad, but I don't mean it the way I think it's going to come out. Like, he looked really young, and he didn't look like he really understood this area.
Yeah.
And I can't help but wonder, like, you know what I mean? Like, do they not have a person in that office that could say, hey, guys, like, we need to, like, really look at how often this place floods?
He said that they're regulated by the TLDR, which is the same people who regulates elevators and everything. Texas license.
Right.
Cosmetologists, like your barber.
Right.
They're all regulated by the Texas licensing and whatever DR. But
it just seems like it seems like almost too coincidental.
yeah.
And it's like, dang, just bad timing on them. Because on the surface, like, I don't really have a problem with cloud seeding if it works. But the problem is you don't know if it's going to work. Mm-hmm. He said a percentage of how many times it works, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't even want to say a percentage but it was like, I didn't think that the percentage that he said, I can't remember, but it was like, okay, that's not really that big of a deal. You know what I mean?
And like something else that he said that maybe not like the guy as much is when the topic got around to, is this silver iodide safe or is it toxic? He didn't come out and talk about whether it's safe or toxic. He said, well, we ingest lots of toxic things.
Right.
Like, that's not the answer I'm looking for, man.
Especially in the time period that we're in, where everyone is hyper aware of everything.
He kept saying, I want to make America healthy again. I'm like, well, why can't you say that it's not toxic?
Yeah. I don't know. It didn't make me feel any better about it. That's for
sure. It made
sure.
me feel worse. It was like whenever the vote totals came out for 2024 and it was like high 60 million votes. Then 2020 was like 81 million votes. And then
that's a great.
Then
that's
2024,
a great
and I'm like, that doesn't make me feel great at all about the 2020 election. That's kind of the way that podcast made me feel. But our listeners can listen to it and get their own opinion.
Yeah, I just, and it's a bad look because of the clientele that it killed.
Yeah.
It's a bad look because you killed kids.
Yeah.
You killed kids, and not that adults and others are any worse or any better, but it's like
the number of people in that involve children is, makes this so much worse.
So, is this a DEI problem?
I don't follow you there.
So there was a report came out that several of the members of the county offices were placed in positions that they shouldn't have been placed in based on DEI.
See, I just can't imagine that in Kerrville, Texas.
I had a hard time too. I'm just being honest.
I mean, if it is, it is. I don't know anything about the local government. It's just, I just can't imagine that so much in Kerrville.
Yeah,
if you told me about that in Austin, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah. Well, I think
Austin,
too,
Houston, Dallas. Like, okay.
I wondered if the DEI portion of the conversation comes in more in Austin, with the Austin, more of a democratically run city.
It's the largest big city close to there. So
giving
between there and San Antonio.
Yeah, not giving their counterpart, which is a more red county. I wondered if that played a role, but I put this on here when this first happened, so I just couldn't. It's just it's a topic of conversation. It's one of those things. The other thing that I found interesting about this is how the mayor was responding to the national media.
Yeah.
So I sent this.
You brought this up to me. My mom brought it up to me too.
Yeah. So I was the first day that the mayor took questions, he was very flustered. You could obviously tell he was exhausted. And the national media was talking to him exactly how they talked to Trump. Uh-huh. They're yelling at him. He's trying to answer as many questions as he possibly could, but he was very flustered. Mm-hmm. So I sent the next clip, which is he comes up to the microphone and they're yelling at him again, and he just tells them all to stop. Mm-hmm. He doesn't quite yell at them, but he raises his voice. And he says, my first grade teacher wife makes her first graders raise their hand. And so he made the national media raise their hand.
Which is not, they do the same thing in the press briefing room in the White House.
Yes.
If you watch those, sometimes they will holler out questions, but you hear Caroline Leavitt call on reporters, and so it's not like too uncommon, like in the most important place in the world, basically, especially in our country for sure, of where press conferences happen. That's the way they do it. So
well, and it just was very interesting to me because he was very much like, in Texas, we respect each other.
Uh-huh.
He kept referring to himself as Texan, and which was, I found interesting. We don't speak to each other that way.
He said one day, we don't do that in Kerrville. He said,
correct.
This is Kerrville.
This is Kerrville. We don't act that way. And then one of the reporters shouted out and said, well, you won't answer our questions if we do. And he said, if you raise your hand and you politely ask, you will answer. Your question will get answered.
And here's the thing. Whether you like it or not, he's the one leading the press conference, and he's the one you're asking the questions of. So you either do it his way or you don't.
Or you don't get your question answered.
Right. You are a guest where he is.
And so
just like Arnold said.
I hope it's a great transition. I hope that this is that they find that what they're looking for alive.
Yeah.
But I hope that at least they recover as many bodies as possible to give those families closure.
Right. To know.
Because there's still a bunch missing. And I would be willing to guess about 50% of the bodies will never be found.
That are left, yeah.
Do you have that clip of Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I do. This is Arnold on The View. Joy Behar says, well, you're an immigrant. Like, how do you feel? And you're in California, too. So how do you feel about these ICE raids and people being deported? And this is her question and Arnold's answer.
You are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing, when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was impressed by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And so I just think the world of the great kind of a history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest. And you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house, and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can, keep things clean, and to make my bed, and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country.
I don't think she expected that answer.
She definitely did not. So just from the Twitch, we played a clip. You'll be able to hear it on the podcast and on YouTube.
Yeah, basically Joy Behar saying, what do you think about this? And Arnold says, well, when you come somewhere, you're a guest, like you're a guest in someone else's house. You can't come over here and break the law. You can't go over and do criminal activity. So he is, I love that, because what he is doing is Joy Behar is trying to say, well, look at this immigrant, governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, movie star, bodybuilder, governor of California, and you are an immigrant. What do you feel about immigrants being these people being deported? And he said, basically, don't put me in that camp. Because when I came over here, I respected the laws. I came over nothing at the age of 21. I respected the laws of the area. I'm not one of these criminals who is breaking the law. You can't have that, is what he says.
Why is that such a bad thing? And that's where The View drives me absolutely insane, because it's like, you're asking someone who obviously is not going to agree with you. And I mean, surely they had some kind of a conversation.
If Biden were doing the things that Trump are doing with immigration, they would say that Biden's out there fighting crime. The reason they don't like it is because Trump is doing it, and that's the end of the story. They can't find an actual reason outside of Orange Man Bad that they don't like it. Did you hear Cuban on Pod Save America?
No.
I should have had that. We can link it, right? Or we can give the clip.
Mm-hmm.
So Cuban,
if you'll send it to me, I can put
really
it
no fan of Trump, because he's decided to support Kamala. Trump basically gave him the cold shoulder during the campaign. So that's Mark Cuban, liberal Democrat, right? He says this Trump hating stuff has got to quit. You got to stop your strategy. He's basically chastising Democrats for that being the only thing that they do. And he's on Pod Save America, which is not a conservative podcast. They're
not at all.
very left leaning. Not even leaning, they're left. If you listen to their take on things, he's like, you got to stop this. This isn't a strategy. Like, he's winning. Like, and basically we can post a clip, but kind of the same thing is like, your only defense, the only thing you're fighting against is you don't like Trump. That's not a strategy.
Yeah. Well,
and Cuban says it's not about Trump. It's about the American people.
right.
And the American people are supporting this.
Right.
So you've got to see that and stop just with the orange man bad stuff.
Well, and the numbers say exactly what Arnold Schwarzenegger just said and what Cuban said. And the ICE raid that happened in California over the weekend, did you see that at the marijuana growing place?
Yeah.
Where there were
See how
children?
See how they spun it?
Yeah.
Child workers
Yeah. I just...
for a drug cartel.
And apparently they were a big supporter of Gavin Newsom's.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gavin Newsom came out and went totally against what he had said before. I just think that there has got to be a better way for them to come at this. And the problem is
Because they don't have a leader.
well, it's not only that. It's the problem is that when you go at him about something, we're going to talk about Epstein. That's kind of been a gaffe of his, which we'll talk about. But there hasn't been a gaffe yet.
I think it's been a gaffe of his people when we get into it. Another point I'll bring up. I like comedy. And so in my reels and for my feed, when I'm scrolling reels, a lot of stand-up comics will come up. Matt Rife came up and I never really see him get that political.
Mm-hmm. He's not.
But based on his following, he's probably in the camp of the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
More liberal.
I would assume.
And so he's in Canada of all places. And the only thing he ever shows in his crowd work is crowd work. He never shows his actual show because he doesn't want to spoil it for people who actually buy a ticket. So he's doing crowd work and he's talking to a kid. Like this parent brings their 14-year-old to the show. And so he's like making fun of that. Like, why would you do that? That kind of thing. Do you have any influence in my show? Like he's a kind of a crude comedian. And he asks the kid, he's like, all right, how many genders are there? And the kid pauses for a minute. Like, that's a hot button question. He's like, we're about to find out here. And the kid just raises up 2 fingers and says 2. The entire place in Canada starts cheering.
Yeah.
Like, the media would not have you believe that, is something that most of the American people are behind. Something else. They put Trump back in the Hall of Presidents. So I heard I have a friend who lives in Florida who they just went to Disney for the day just to see Trump in the Hall of Presidents. He recites the oath of office because the current president, if you've ever done the Hall of Presidents at Disney, does kind of a longer spiel where everybody else just kind of nods. They're animatronics as they say their name. They get to Trump, 2016, cheers. Room goes wild. Biden, 2020, crickets. Not a single person cheers, or not a single person. And this obviously is Florida, red-ish state. But this is Disney World, y'all. Everybody goes to Disney World from all over the world.
Right.
And that's the type of reaction you get. And the media would have you believe that that's not the case, that the majority of people and the majority of the world disagree with Trump. But we're seeing this from people, from world leaders. They do not. And so this whole rant that the Democrats have been on about Orange Man bad and just attacking Trump and not attacking actual ideas and policy, it doesn't work. It's not going to work.
This is off the cuff. Is there a policy that they could attack him on at the moment? The answer for me is no. I'll let you think.
We talked about it last week with Medicaid. They don't like the Medicaid, what they're calling cuts, which are really just stipulations that would get people who shouldn't be on Medicaid off Medicaid.
But see, I agree with that.
Right. And I think a lot of people do. But I think the answer to that question is, if you believe the spin and the story about what Trump is doing from the left media, then yeah, you could find a lot of problems with that. But if you drill down into it, like the Medicaid thing, like, if you believe Trump's taking millions of people off Medicaid and SNAP, then I think you find a lot of people in the country who'd be like, well, we shouldn't do that. That's horrible. We shouldn't hurt these people, right? But then if you drill down into what it actually says and says, no, it's just saying that people who can work should work at, an average of 80 hours a month, 20 hours a week. And then they can still get their Medicaid. It's not like they're being kicked off. It's just say, if you can go work at least a part-time job.
Yeah.
Then I think a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to work every day.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they?
Right.
So I think if you drill down into it, I can't think of one just off the cuff.
Well, in the surface, like if you poll a group of people and you walk up and you say, hey, should SNAP benefits be cut for 13 million people? Most people would say no.
Right.
But then they're like, oh, but now once you dive into it,
Yeah.
that's why the polls are so difficult sometimes to judge.
Yeah, they haven't been right for years.
Years. Okay, you want to go to the special session, or do you want to go to
'cause
Epstein?
I feel like we kind of started talking about Epstein.
All right.
Here's my take on it. I don't care. I honestly don't think Trump really cares that much. But the problem is his people talked a big game when they weren't in office. And now they're in office and they're having to back off. I have some clips. Let's listen to some clips.
Okay.
First is Dan Bongino on the Epstein files. This is when he's not in office. This is 2022.
That Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go.
That's Dan Bongino. It's a big deal. Do not let this go.
What
Okay.
year was this?
2022.
Okay.
Here's Cash Patel, 2023, Glenn Beck.
Has Jeffrey Epstein's
That's Glenn Beck asking.
Black Book.
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean, there's.
That's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
Glenn Beck asking Cash Patel, who's got the Black Book? And Cash Patel saying the FBI's got it. It's under the direct control of the director of the FBI whenever it's Biden's FBI. And then last, Cash Patel on Rogan.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
So this is the things they said when they weren't in office. And then they get in office and they're like, oh, wait a second.
Right.
I honestly have almost never, like, if you would have told me today there actually is a Black Book, I'd have been like, okay. But if you told me today there's not a Black Book, I'd have been like, probably not. I don't think the world financier who's sex trafficking young women has everybody in an actual little black book that somebody can grab. And
Yeah.
like, it's 2020, 2019, 17, whatever year it was, y'all. Like, do I believe there are people of influence who went to Epstein Island and did horrible things? Absolutely. I believe they were. I don't know who they were. I don't know if it was some of the names that we know. I know they had to be rich and they had to have money. That's why I say they got to be people of influence.
Right.
You're not going to Epstein Island with, unfortunately, the girls and the young women that he's bringing into that island without having a ton of money or a ton of influence that's going to help out Jeffrey Epstein. It's his island and it's his operation. So do I believe that there was that? Yes. Do I believe it is most likely people on both sides of the political spectrum that I agree with and I disagree with? Yes. I don't believe for 1 second that it was only people I disagree with on the political side. We have people who've been through the ringer. You think about like the Matt Gaetz stuff and they've been, acquitted or whatever, charged, whatever. But like, every once in a while, like when you get so many different type of accusations against the same person over a period of time from different people, like something sticks. So do I believe that Epstein had an island? Do I believe he was sex trafficking girls? Yes, I do. Do I believe he's a criminal? Yes, I do. Is there proof out there that would convict these people? I don't know that answer. And honestly, you don't either.
No.
But here's my question to you. If Epstein and these people get off, for decades and maybe even a century, mobsters and gang leaders have been getting away with the same thing. Do you care as much about that as you do Jeffrey Epstein? If you do, then I'll listen to you rant and rave about Jeffrey Epstein. If you care about the mobsters and gang leaders who are also sex trafficking young women and are getting away with it and have gotten away with it, the mobsters who have gotten off, who've been charged and gotten off, charged and gotten off. If you care as much about that, then I'll listen to you care about Jeffrey Epstein, but not until then.
So I was trying to explain, my wife doesn't really care about politics. She cares because I care. Is that fair?
Yep.
And so like I'm trying to explain to her like who Jeffrey Epstein is, because she had never. I mean, she hears it, she sees it on Facebook, how people are upset about it, but she doesn't really care. Kind of like she cares way less than you.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to explain to her kind of like what has happened, and she's like, "Oh, well, how is that any different than P. Diddy?
Yeah.
How is that any different?" She was like, "Isn't that the same?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I actually wrote it down. She goes, "Epstein is the political Diddy."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah." And
His clients were more political, but I mean, even some of Diddy's were.
yeah, same. I would be willing to bet the lists are about the same.
Yeah.
And so I care more about the JFK files, honestly. Like, why are we not getting those?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and if the Epstein list is as big a deal as what it has been shown to us prior to all these people getting in office, why didn't the Kamala Harris campaign put the list out?
Yeah.
Why didn't they use it against Trump?
If they had it in those years.
They had it. I mean, supposedly, right?
Yeah.
It was supposedly on the FBI's desk for the last 4.5 years.
And I don't, and for a second, like Pam Bondi trying to walk that back, you can't.
No.
Like you said, you were asked, where is the list?
And she said,
it's on my desk.
Yes.
And she's like, well, I was talking about no, you said it.
Yeah.
Singular.
And I
in your answer. Like,
you sent me that.
Call BS on that all day long. Yeah. Like you weren't talking about it. And she tried to say in the cabinet meeting, I was talking about the Epstein files with JFK, and the MLK files are on my desk too. Like, no, you would have said something like, I'm not trying to just be the grammar police here, but you're a very educated person. You wouldn't have said it is on my desk if you didn't mean that specific thing, not the general files were stacked on your desk at that moment. That's BS on that.
And I'll give you props on that, because you sent me a text and said, did she say that? And I was like, no, I think she just said it was there. And then I went back and saw it again, and I was like, yeah, she did say. And so that's a gaffe on her part.
Yeah. So
and then the whole political, this is the Republican Party too, like the whole binder thing where they're holding it out. I don't remember exactly where they were. If they were outside the Oval Office or whatever, and they're holding the binders up for the camera, and they're like, we have the Epstein file. Like, that's on them.
Yeah.
Like, that's your fault. Now, what role Trump played in that, I don't know. He did come out today or yesterday and said there are a lot of people that were around Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct.
Yeah.
And he said that to Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I'm in the same boat as you. And the only reason we're having to talk about this is because it's been a big news thing over the last week or so. And I don't really care. Like, I think twofold. I think it's what Trump says. I mean, who was I watching the other day? I can't remember who it was, but it was a prevalent person said, yeah, I went to Epstein Island. And then I left because it was creepy. So that person's name was going to be on the Flight Manifest.
Right.
And so he was like, yeah, I went there, but I didn't stay because it might have been RFK. He was like, I was there. I went, took my family there. It was a cool place. And then I realized kind of, hey, this is kind of weird. And we left.
Yep.
So
I mean, Trump himself says, of course, there's plenty of pictures with him, but they're all old. They're all back in the day. Well, and he says he distanced himself from him because, I don't know.
Well, you've lived in the world long enough to be around people that you're just uncomfortable around. And like even people who you get close to, and as you get closer to them, and then there's an interaction happening. I'm not saying it's this type of interaction, but you're just like, yeah, I need to distance myself from that person. So it's like that could be it too, right? As you get to know someone a little bit better, you distance yourself from them because your values don't align or your thoughts on things don't align. And so it's kind of hard for me to look at this and say, in a black and white type situation, right? It's so much gray area. Do I want politicians hanging around creeps like Jeffrey Epstein? No. Are there others out there that are very similar to Jeffrey Epstein that are doing maybe not this, but just as much shady business? Absolutely. We just don't know about them. And I'm having I like Tucker Carlson. I like what he stands for. And generally speaking, I agree with most of what he says. Most of what he says, I agree.
See, I think he's off on the rails right now.
But
I really used to like listening to him and watching him, but this recent stuff.
But that's where I was going. He is dwelling on this so much that he's losing a part of his base.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can't buy into that so much because what if they put that out What if there was a quote unquote list and they put it out and it's just a bunch of Joe Blows? Like it's just a bunch of nobodies and then a handful sprinkled in people that we know. Like what if the list is 500 people and 400 of them you've never even heard of?
Right. There's a lot of rich people we never heard of. I think Trump's problem with the Epstein list is that all happened under his watch originally. I mean, you got to think Epstein died in 2019.
Right. And we're still talking about in 2025.
By suiciding or whatever. But like that came in and he wasn't going to be prosecuted. But then Trump's like, no, like we got to look into this and we got to get these files. We got to prosecute him. And he was arrested under Trump.
Right.
And so on the one hand, I can look at that and say that if there were files that Trump wanted to remove, he was in the office whenever all that happened. But at the same time, Obama could have arrested him.
Yeah.
And didn't. But Trump did. So why would you go arrest the guy that could incriminate you?
Right.
It's a wild, I just don't care. But I mean, it's a horrible crime and I hate that it happened and I hate that Epstein did it. And he's a horrible person. But beyond that, I don't think there's some huge smoking gun here.
I'm with you. The Twitch says that Tucker. I have a hard time saying his name, by the way. I have a hard time saying a lot of things sometimes, by the way. Just for Tucker Carlson is fighting for relevance by seeing what crazy theories will just stick to the wall.
He has gone down that path.
He has.
Well, you know what's funny is that when I was growing up, the show that he did where he got his notoriety and his fame was called Crossfire with him and James Carville, who's a Louisiana Cajun, like James Carville, and it was good because you could listen to those two, and yes, Tucker was the Republican and James Carville was the fiery Democrat, but you could listen to them and it wasn't like it is today where you have a fiery Republican and a fiery Democrat talking about an issue. It was different. Like they could have discourse about topics and have a discussion about things, but now even Carville's off the rails. So it's kind of interesting, like two guys who used to be pretty centered and able to have a discourse with someone from the other side. And like, I mean, there were two guys from the other side and they sat at the triangle desk and something would come up. A lot of Bill Clinton's and impeachment and his stuff with Monica Lewinsky came up during that time. And they could go back and forth about that and have that type of discussion. But now both of them are off the rails.
I'm like
Harville's
you.
crazy.
I would much rather know what's in the JFK files and what's in the MLK files.
Yeah.
Then I'd care about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
I don't know that I would care too much about JFK because I feel like I have my opinion about it. Like the only opinion I have about JFK is that he did what Oswald wasn't alone. Now, it could have been bad actors setting up Oswald and setting up somebody else and setting up somebody else, and none of these people knew about each other, but they all had the same mission that day, whatever. But I've shot a rifle before and I've hunted before, and you can't tell me that it was Oswald from the 6th floor by himself when you watch the Zapruder film and see the reaction of JFK's body when that shot comes through. I've never shot something with a rifle and it comes towards the direction of the bullet. Never seen that happen before.
The 6th floor museum is cool.
It is.
But I'm with you. I haven't done enough. I just want to know more of like the history behind it, behind both of them, behind the JFK stuff and behind the MLK stuff.
Might have been that guy.
More than maybe. More than.
But I'm not saying it was. I don't know.
More than I care about Epstein.
Yeah.
And I'm just so shocked that these people that are so upset about Epstein aren't upset about the Diddy trial too, because it's very similar.
Yeah.
And he got not scot free, but I mean,
lesser charges.
He did some horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on to some lighter news for the evening. So I did a rundown.
Prediction to put a bow on that. I don't think the Epstein files tanked the Republicans in the midterms. I don't think anybody leaves. At the beginning of the week, whenever this was happening, my prediction was Trump was going to side with Bondi. And if Bongino or Patel said they couldn't work with Bondi, then they were going to be out. Because Trump doesn't like ultimatums either from his people. You're not going to come tell Trump, well, I'm not working if she stays, and be like, all right, peace. Like, I don't care. He just, whether he likes you even better,
yeah.
But I think he's going to be able to keep the peace between those three. I think they all three stay. And honestly, I want him to quit looking at Epstein and go look at stuff that matters to me.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Like, go be the stinking FBI and be the AG. Like, honestly, I care so much more about it. And I know, I think you feel differently than me about this, but about the fake Russia collusion case, like the Steele dossier, and like how that was completely fabricated, paid for by the DNC, run by the Clintons to help Hillary win. Like, people testified in the FBI, like the FBI director testified and made stuff up, like made up files.
But didn't they bring him charges this week, right?
Well, yes, they did. Which is interesting because if you listen to Kash Patel and Rogan, he said that the statute of limitations has run out on all that stuff. That they know that he did it. They know that the Steele dossier was fake. That is undisputed right now. But the statute of limitations has run out on it, so they can't bring charges. But they did. The CIA recommended it, and the FBI has brought charges.
I'm also like,
I care about that because that is at the highest levels of government. I don't throw this word around lightly. In a way, that was a coup, similar to what they did with Biden.
Right.
Like, you have a history in these last 8 years of getting Bernie out of the primary, the Steele dossier and Russia collusion with Hillary, and then what they did with Biden and then Kamala, and the Democratic Party of more or less government coups of putting people into places of power that shouldn't be there.
Well,
I mean, that's a big deal.
You're seeing this too. The DNC is running out of money. I don't. Did we talk about that last week?
Yeah, and you know me, I'm not the conspiracy theorist.
No, you're not.
Like,
the two of us,
it takes a lot for me to get there.
But
I'm telling you, there's something there that's big that I care about.
I think too. I'm a big let's move forward type guy. Like, let's not dwell on the past. Let's get going on what's gonna make everybody better. Yeah. So that's just a general life thing for me. But I do care about that a little bit more than I care about but I'm also kind of like, meh.
Even if
I want to know,
even on Steele dossier, if you're kind of like, meh, then I want Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi looking at 2028 and 2026 and making sure these people who have shown a history of doing this over the last 8 years aren't doing it again.
Yes. I can agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But Bongino, and I was telling my brother this too.
I care 1,000,007 times more about 2026 and 2028 and election integrity than I do about
Okay. I'm with you on
Epstein.
that. I'm with you on that. I was telling my brother though too. Bongino has been on the podcast circuit 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, complaining about how much work he was having to do. So
I saw a clip of that.
I
didn't know what the time frame it was though.
But I was telling my brother, I'm like, is he just looking for a way out? Because he was complaining about how he was missing his wife, basically how they were separated because he can't see his wife.
She didn't move.
I don't know the whole details of it, but it's
maybe he's just traveling a lot.
Maybe, and that's the job that you took.
I hate that. I hate travel.
Yeah.
I don't sleep when I travel.
Really?
I used to have to travel a lot. But since COVID, like accountants, auditors, we used to have to travel a lot, but I don't travel much anymore because of COVID. We figured out how to do it. But whenever I do have to travel, my wife and I, both of us, we don't sleep. We might sleep 2 or 3 hours a night.
Yeah, that's tough.
We just can't do it.
I'm not jealous of you in that sense. I couldn't have a job where there was a phase of life where I thought I could be like a fireman where I was gone 24 on, 24 off, whatever it is. Yeah, I couldn't.
I guess you get used to it, or some people do. Like, we have friends that travel for work a lot.
I'm 100% certain that neither me nor my wife would ever get used to that.
I like being home.
Me too.
I just like being home.
That's why I picked a job where I get to come home every night.
There we go.
Honestly.
Yep.
Okay. I think we're both in the same boat on the Epstein. You're a little bit more on the Russia collusion than I am, but we're also coming together on the 26-28 election integrity.
Yep.
There we go. We put a bow on it. All right, let's hop into some good stuff. Not that stuff wasn't good, but the special agenda in Texas. They will go, I linked it in my notes there if you want to kind of look at what it is. It says Lynn.
It's an X link.
Yeah, it's the list, but I put it in a little doc for myself so I could actually read it a little bit better. July the 21st, 2025 at noon is when they start. So a week from today. So if you have something, I'm just going to go down the list of all of them. Jump in as you see, please, as you see fit. As you can imagine, the first couple are going to have to do with warning systems. The legislature is going to have to discuss putting some money into those things. Flood warning systems, emergency flood communications, relief funding for the hill country floods, natural disaster preparation and recovery. I did see where the county. Are you getting a water? Can you grab me another one too? I did see where the county commissioner of Kerrville was on vacation when this happened, and his phone was off. Just regular water. Which is interesting to me. Why he would have had his phone off? That's the first question. The second question is why are you taking a vacation during the time where it's flood season and you're responsible for getting the alerts out? That's neat, I guess. Should have. You can't hear me on the mic. Yeah, you can. I can hear you. But the flood warning systems, emergency communications, relief funding, and natural disaster preparation and recovery, they're looking to streamline all of those. Anything big for you on any of those?
No, but I if you're going to have a special session, I like doing that now because like we talked about with Texas, you just have sessions every other year. So this is something they can definitely need to have a special session for and take care of immediately.
Okay, eliminate the STAR test. This did not make the cut in the original session. The reason for this one legislation to eliminate the STAR test, the state of Texas academic readiness exam, to replace with an effective tools and assessments of students' programs while ensuring school district accountability. I have something to say about this, and then you can hop in or we can keep going.
I got one thing.
Okay, so it says surely there was someone in the commissioner's place while he was on vacation. Yes, there were.
Yeah.
But the cell phones were down.
Yeah.
In the one of the ones that I just listed, it's in adding more cell phone towers in that area. In the flood emergency communication is to strengthen the emergency communication and other responses through infrastructure. That's adding cell towers. If you in the area we live, they are adding cell towers like crazy right now.
Yep.
So I would imagine that probably has something to do with it. So yeah, that's a great point. Back on the STAR test, I've said on here before, the STAR test as a whole isn't a bad thing all the time. Mm-hmm. Okay. Districts need accountability. Mm-hmm. Okay. The question is should teachers, i.e. school districts, be held accountable for one test on one day, on one time of the year? The answer, in my opinion, as a teacher, my professional opinion is absolutely not. Okay. There should be some sort of growth measure that most districts have in place that have to do with the TIA already. And if that should be what is presented to the state in some form or fashion, whether it's at the district level, whether it's at the state level. I have no hard opinion on where it comes from, but in my opinion, those students we should test them multiple times and not like a big STAR test. If you're in education, you know what I'm talking about. Clint knows what I'm talking about because he's been in the education system before, where you shut the whole school down for a certain period of time so you can take this big exam. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is assessments through some other form. It has to be a test, though. It has to be a multiple choice or short answer, however they choose to do it. But you have to do it multiple times because even the best students have a bad day. Even your valedictorian who would make a high 90 may have a bad day where they got sick and didn't feel great and didn't sleep very well. And it's somewhat lower pressure, but still has the stakes that are necessary. There just has to be a better way. And we've gotten to the point to where it has to be an adjustment. We have to make a change. Do I have a perfect answer for it? No, but I just gave you a couple of examples. Thoughts?
I feel like it's a tough one for a special session, which are usually like abbreviated sessions, because what you want, if you're not just getting rid of the STAR test, they're replacing it with something.
Correct.
So you want to be able to bring in teachers and workshop this. And maybe they've done that step already.
They have. They did that with the survey that they put out a couple of years ago.
I just wonder, like,
year and a half ago.
What are they going to, survey, but I mean, like, it's kind of like if you're doing this, and this may be just a really crazy idea, but I feel like when they're in there debating the actual nuts and bolts of a bill, they need to have educators in there saying, yeah, it's not going to work. Yeah, that is going to work. Or, hey, now tweak this here. Or have you thought about this? Like, there may be some, I don't know, we should look this number up, but how many of our state reps or state senators were former educators?
I'm looking, hold on.
Because if I was a state rep and have this background, of course I'm married to a teacher, right? And things like that. But you imagine somebody without that background, what are they going to do? Like, you want people who've done it to be advising you on that.
It looks like 2% of the House of Representatives and the Texas Senate were former, had some role in education.
Okay.
There is a representative from Houston. I've put his clips on our social media before. Can't think of his name off the top of my head. I don't agree with him on anything except for education.
Yeah.
The only thing I agree with him on is education. And he oh gosh, I wish I could remember his name, and maybe the Twitch will be able to do it.
I do like that Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows, his kids go to public school.
Yes.
So at least you have that. You don't have a bunch of basically.
And a lot of representatives' kids do go
Yeah.
to public schools.
Yeah.
Now, they're the nicer districts.
Sure.
And they're able to pick and choose who they go to. But I don't know that eliminating a state assessment, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
But replacing it with something that's exactly the same as what it is not the answer, because we went from the TOS test to the tax test to the STAR test. Now, are there minor things that are different? Yes. The biggest difference between the TOS, the tax, and the STAR is the accountability that's attached to it. And so that's the biggest thing for me. Like, we we have to hold our districts accountable, but at the same time, we have to make sure that you're making it equitable for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? It's difficult.
Yep.
Okay, cut property taxes.
Always on there.
Always on there. Legislation reducing the property tax burden on Texans and imposing spending limits on entities authorized to impose property taxes. Protection for children from THC. Now, this is not something that we have talked about a lot. We've talked about it a couple of blips, but we've got to do kind of like what they did with tobacco in the 60s and 70s. We cannot have THC products that look so much like candy for children that a child can mix it up.
Kash Patel talked about that.
Yes, he did.
So I've always thought the whole like hiding drugs in candy is a myth. Like, go through your kids' candy at Halloween. And it's the joke has always been like, dude, drugs are expensive. Nobody's just giving that stuff out. Well, when it comes to fentanyl, apparently they are. And I do trust Kash Patel on that. Like, I don't. And so that was some new information for me to. And I did
Speaking
a little
from
research on that,
experience of dealing with children for the last 15 years, there has been an influx of, I won't say overdoses, but children using in eating candy that looks so similar that if you were to put them side by side and you did not know what you were looking for, you could easily ingest 1,000 milligrams of THC like that. And not that that would kill you, but it would definitely make you feel a certain way that makes you very uncomfortable. And so I think that is something that they have to do. I don't think they should take THC off the market as a whole because it does have a lot of good properties for people that need it. Okay. And you're an adult. If you choose to take it, we allow people to smoke cigarettes. We allow people to smoke cigars. We allow people to drink alcohol. You should be allowed to smoke THC or ingest THC if that's what you choose. However, we do need regulations on how much they can put into a product. Mm-hmm. The biggest issue that I have with this, and again, we haven't talked about this because it did get vetoed by Greg Abbott, is the amount that they're putting in there and like the drinks specifically, and the energy drinks. And to me, we should have regulations on that too.
For sure.
Because like I can't tell you how many times I've seen kids walk in our halls with different energy drinks, and I'm just thinking to myself, my goodness, if you ingest that 3 or 4 times a day, that's awful for you. Now, I'm also partake in those energy drinks from time to time and drink way too much coffee and have my own vices. But it's one of those things where it's like you can't tell the difference between a Celsius that doesn't have THC in it or hemp or CBD and with the branding because it looks very, very, very similar. And the same with the candies. Now, I didn't think about the fentanyl because I'm just thinking about THC, but very much so. That leads into the next one, which is regulate hemp derivative products. Okay. Comprehensively regulate hemp derivative products, including its limiting potencies, restricting synthetic modifications, and establishing enforcement mechanisms. That is what we need between the protecting the children and regulating those two things. I'm not for regulation on a whole lot of things, but anytime we're trying to protect children, I'm here for it. Hold on, Twitch said something. So there's been some type of conversations in certain school districts about banning energy drinks as well. Didn't know that for students.
They took them out of our school. You used to be able to get them in a vending machine at the school, but they took them out.
That would be difficult because a lot of local businesses provide energy drinks. Like you can go to the local coffee shop and get
I just meant they were selling them in the school.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
In the school vending machine.
Yeah.
They took those out.
I think what we're going to end up seeing is, this goes along with the cell phone ban that was passed. I think what you're going to end up seeing is no more open containers. Because, we went, like, during COVID, everybody was like, hey, bring your water bottle, because we cut off the waters, the water fountains because it did spread. And honestly, as a teacher, I never drank from those things because, man, you talk about a germ-infested
I'll see somebody
part
leaning
of the
over a water
school.
fountain. I'm like, you are brave.
Especially in an elementary school.
Oh, my goodness.
Especially. But it's one of those things where it's like, you're danged if you do and you're danged if you don't. And it's one of those things where you have to protect the kids from themselves sometimes.
I just like Texas. Like, I don't know if you're going to go through all of these that are
I was
here,
planning on it, yeah.
But the types of things, like you think about some other states and the junk that they're going through in their state houses. I'm like, this stuff actually works.
Yeah. Protect unborn children. I'm all for that. Legislation further protecting unborn children and their mothers from harmful abortions. Ban taxpayer-funded lobbying. Protecting human trafficking victims. Police personnel records. Protecting women spaces. Attorney General election powers. Redistricting, which was a big one which has been big in the big cities of Texas, specifically Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Austin, El Paso. Title theft and fraud, deed fraud, water protective initiatives, and then state judicial departments.
That title theft and deed fraud is a big thing, especially for the elderly, because they're the ones who have a lot of times the most equity. They have a paid off property, paid off house. And for someone to be able to come in and file some fraudulent documents and take their property, like, it can get worked out eventually, but sometimes it takes years.
Right.
That's one of those things where I'm always telling people, like, if you have older people in your life, the grandparent age and above, you really got to be talking with them about, because they're so susceptible to scams. And like you've got to talk with them and know what's going on in their life and financially, so that you can help them. Because if you tell an older person from that great generation that they owe somebody money, they're going to go pay them.
And I have such a hard. It was funny.
They're so trusting.
I just had a conversation with someone the other day whose dad took out a loan to pay a prince in Africa.
Yeah,
they got an email.
Yeah.
They got it $7,000. They wired $7,000 and they borrowed the money from a bank.
I worked for a bank before I audited banks, and I was working at a bank, and my grandfather, the one who passed away after we first started recording podcast, I was at lunch, but one of the tellers called me and said, your granddad is in here. He's trying to withdraw like $10,000, and he won't really tell us much, but like, it just doesn't seem right. And so I got back over there, got back to the bank, and he had already left. He got frustrated and left. They wouldn't withdraw the money from him, thankfully. And I told him, like, no, thank you. He doesn't need $10,000 in cash right now. I don't care what it's for. Thank you for doing that. And so then I called my dad, and we got for a conversation about it. But someone had spoofed my brother-in-law that his voice, and called my granddad and said, hey, I'm in Mexico. I'm in a jail. I need this money. And he was at the bank trying to withdraw it. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you tell somebody from that generation, grandfather who fought in World War II, that they owe you money, they're going to pay you regardless, because they're not going to owe anybody any money. You tell them that somebody in their family's in trouble, they're going to, without thinking about it, they're
Right.
going to go to the bank and start getting money out. And that's these types of things. Like government can do things, but what can do the most is if you have somebody like that in your life, you can help protect them.
That terrifies me, honestly. Like the other thing that I've always wondered too is, like we have a car that's paid off and I don't pay taxes on it. Okay. I don't even have to pay
You told me
inspection.
this.
But like the fact that if I own a home and I have to continue to pay taxes on it, that something doesn't feel right about that. Does that make sense? Like if you own a place, if you own it outright, why do you have to continue to pay taxes on it? And I know the answer. It's for the greater good. I get it. But if you're on a fixed income, like for example, like we're on the verge of starting to really talk about retirement, like looking at what that looks like. We're still 20 years away from that. But I keep thinking like, okay, like if we were to buy a house and we pay it off, okay, in 15 years, and then we wouldn't have to count on that. But however, we still have to worry about paying taxes on that. And the taxes are continuing to go up. So how do we balance that? I know that's not a real question, but it's like, it's a thought that's going through my head. Like as a person on a fixed income who you retire and now you have a $10,000 more a year that you have to pay, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're on a fixed income and you're on a retirement and your house is paid off and you're having to pay, you did have to pay $5,000, but now the county comes through and
it does freeze.
reappraises your house.
It does freeze it, either 62 or 65.
But I'm just saying,
you're still
what I mean?
paying it. You're still paying it, but at least it does freeze. But yeah, in a state full of freedom like Texas, that's a really hard pill to swallow.
It is,
but it is just the method that the state has come up with to fund instead of a sales tax or income tax or something else.
Right. And I get it. Like I understand the purpose of it, but it just doesn't. It feels icky. Feels icky. So that's the special session in its whole. Those are kind of the big talking points or the list that Abbott put out. It will be fun to watch as we get these debates. One of my favorite things about doing the podcast is, as I said last week, I get to watch C-SPAN. And I know that sounds very
such nerds over here,
dorky, but it's
we
like
get to watch C-SPAN.
But this is one of the things where like we didn't get to do this 5 years ago because it wasn't out there. And now that even the legislature of Texas has a website that you can go to and you can watch the chambers, and there are clips coming out and you get people's real thoughts and real opinions about it. And you can actually see, like, you don't just read about it, you get to see it. And that to me is so important. It's so important. We will eventually, whenever both, I keep saying it every time, but eventually we're going to get to where we talk about what all was passed. The big one for me was the education bill did pass. Just kind of a little synopsis about that. They gave teachers a raise. It's a overall bump across the board. It's not, well, if you've been working in education longer than 3 years, you get a raise, basically either a $4,000 raise or an $8,000 raise. They did earmark certain spending habits of the districts to where they cannot spend all of the money. They didn't do an overall bump, like on the daily attendance. They just kind of earmarked certain things where they could spend the money. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. It prevents things like what's happening in Oklahoma. And I don't know how much education politics you pay attention to outside of the state of Texas, but have you seen what's going on in Oklahoma? The governor comes out and tells all of the school districts that you have to start paying for the lunches for the children. Okay. Now, in a state of Texas, that would be a lot of money for bigger school districts. In Oklahoma, don't know the average size of a school district. It's not quite as big. But in order for them to pay for it, they had to send in a letter of who on the administrative staff is going to be cut their budget, whose pay is going to be cut, because they're going after administrators. Because Oklahoma has one of the largest percentages of states that has a higher administrator pay. Like the percentage of their budgets, of districts' budgets, it's highest that goes to the administrators. Okay. The districts that I'm familiar with do not have this problem in the state of Texas. I want to be perfectly clear. The one that we live in, the one that I work for, the one that I've worked for in the past, most of the ones in the area that I looked at, less than 2% of their entire budget goes to the administration, which to me, that seems like a logical amount of money. Most administrators are paid more for their experience, and they should be paid more. And sometimes those administrators don't get paid enough, depending on what level they're at. So I think that Texas doesn't necessarily have this problem. We do have a free and reduced lunch program that the state funds, and that was actually bumped a little bit in one of those bills that they passed. The problem that you see in the state of Texas is a lot of those people don't fill out the paperwork. Now, you could dive deep into that, and you could go even further into it. Why they're not filling that out? Is it a pride thing? Are they here illegally? Why? But all you got to do is just fill out a form. And it's not that difficult to get free or reduced lunch in the state of Texas. Breakfast and lunch. By the way, the cricket is back.
Got it.
Anything else you'd like to add to that?
Free and reduced lunch, or overall
in general,
Texas
overall
legislation? I will be paying attention to it. Like you say, we'll be watching it. I think those are all good things. It'll be interesting to see what passes and what is on there, because they have people in their ears saying, I think, like, I agree with you. Protecting the unborn, protecting women is great. I feel like a lot of that is on the special agenda because they didn't pass anything really super late to that. And they can't have a special session if they don't also have it on the agenda.
Right.
Or they're going to get killed.
Right.
So I think some of those is posturing, to use that word lightly. But it'll be interesting to see what comes through.
Moving on. We just surpassed the 1 year. The 1 year of Butler, PA. 6 Secret Service agents were put on leave without pay this past week. I don't really have anything to add to this. I do think that this was the turning point of Trump's campaign. I think that we've discussed this before. This was the turning point for me.
Only one member of Trump's personal detail. This has to do with local Secret Service. So it was the head of the Pittsburgh office that was put on leave. Other agents in the same office, and these are the ones that were tasked with coordinating with local police, which they do rely on some local police for perimeter security. And they were put on leave for different variations of days without pay as a part of this investigation. So I think that's good. I mean, you need accountability. I don't care what side it's on. When you have an attack that brazen, where a bullet hits the president, kills someone else at the rally, that close, shoot, no. Honestly, those people out of respect for themselves should have resigned. Yeah.
Well, and apparently there's been more and more that has come out. It's kind of been pushed on the back burner. Come out about how, like, they apparently had identified this guy like 15 minutes before, and now the audio and the text messages are all starting to come out. They even have him on video posturing himself on the building. I mean, so it's a bad look all the way around.
Yeah, it's
a bad book.
Like we say, it all comes out in the wash. We'll find out more.
Wrapping up with last week, we talked a lot about Medicaid fraud. This week, CVS was ordered to pay $949 million.
Just now, not $1 billion.
One of the things that I found interesting in the judge's statement, the judge that assigned the amount of money, it says, this is his statement. I'm going to read. Obviously, we know Kyle doesn't read well, but we're going to do it anyways. Admittedly, this is a very big number, but this is a very, very big fraud on the government. One that lasted almost a decade. One that Omnicare was aware of, but avoided taking steps to correct it. The judge wrote, and CVS is getting off relatively easy, the judge noted, according to her order following a letter from the FCA, which outlines a minimum penalty of $5,000 for every false claim would resulted in an astronomical penalty, a minimum penalty of $26.9 billion on top of damages. So they're getting off. It sounds to me a lot like what happened with, what's the pain medicine? The painkiller.
The opioids?
The Sackler family.
Yeah, opioids.
It sounds to me a lot like that. They got off with $1 billion.
Yeah.
But it could have been $26.9 billion at minimum.
Right.
I don't know how they came up with the $949 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but it's not near the amount of $26.9 billion minimum. I think too, you're going to start seeing these fraud cases take more and more and more and more and more. You're going to start seeing that a lot more.
Yeah. And like, I'm glad under this administration it's being done. That's why you want it to continue, whether that's JD Vance or Marco Rubio or whoever it is next, because you don't want these people to think, all right, for these next couple of years, we got to act right. You know, if somebody else gets in office, then we can start defrauding Medicaid as much as we can because we don't want to cut off benefits. Like, you just want the right people in office who are going to continue watching, because that's economically the only hope for our government, because that $26.9 billion is almost as much as the surplus we had in June.
$27 billion in surplus.
Yeah. First time since 2017.
Did you research this at all?
Yeah, I got some thoughts.
Go ahead.
I saw it when it came across and I read about it. It's nothing to really get excited about. And here's why. May had a $316 billion deficit. So if you take that $27 billion and multiply it times the entire year, say you do that every single month for 1 year, it's $324 billion, which is just barely more than we lost in May. So it sounds good. Like $27 billion. We're going to pay off the debt next week. No, not even close. But it is the first time that we've had a surplus since 2017, which Trump was in office, but we didn't have one his last couple of years in office, because 2017, at the end of 2017, we passed the Tax Cut and Jobs Act.
Right.
And the surplus time was over.
Right.
Whenever that passed. So it's like, yay. But like we talked about last week, the Big Beautiful Bill, I think the Big Beautiful Bill's net benefit is going to be much, much better than what the CBO has estimated. But, you know, this surplus is good. It is good to have a surplus. Hope we have those going forward. That's the only way to get ahead on this, even if it's a small one, which $27 billion doesn't seem small, but it really is in the grand scheme of things. But a huge chunk of that has to do with tariffs.
So, and cuts to education funding.
Yeah.
So it was almost it was a wash between the tariffs and the education cuts that were done by the Department of Education. That's where that money came in.
Mm-hmm.
I saw there's a guy, I think I sent him to you. He's on TikTok and he does a great job of explaining things through charts.
Yeah.
He's the TISM that I wish I had. Like, I wish I had that TISM where I could look at charts and things like that. But he's a great source. I've reposted him several times on our socials, but he basically broke it down. He had a side-by-side comparison of how the amount of tariffs that we were bringing in was about $1 billion for the month of June.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had $26 billion in education cuts.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
His point to that was we didn't have the tariff revenue before.
Uh-huh.
We had about an equal amount.
Mm-hmm.
It was about equal. But the cuts in education funding was what basically caused the surplus. Again, a big win for Trump for the month of June.
Yeah.
And hopefully it continues. We'll see.
Those last two I'm good with pushing. Do you want to play the BBC clip?
I do.
For a nice, fun way to end it.
I do.
Do you want to set this up?
So which one is this? Did you get
the one that I said was stupid? I didn't want to play.
Yes. So I didn't know you said you weren't going to get it on there.
I said if I had time.
Okay.
I had time.
You had time. So basically, I hope my brother listens all the way through. He always sends me funny ones, but this was a great one. It's basically the British complaining because they're being told that they can't put air conditioning into their homes because it consumes too much energy. Their solution is what will be talked about.
This was an extraordinary article that the BBC published this weekend. It's like the organisation will do anything to avoid Brits installing air conditioning, which is the norm in any rich country around the world.
Any hot country.
Slightly hot. So using air conditioning uses too much energy.
Yeah, that's
so
a given.
we're being told to smear yoghurt on our windows.
Yeah, so we are now going to demonstrate for everybody out there How to keep your houses cool. This is going to spurt all over the place. I just know it.
Oh, dear.
Oh, it hasn't. Ooh. How to keep your houses cool during a heat wave, okay? So you take some glass.
We've got a glass here.
We've got a glass. It's not quite a window, but imagine this is a window.
Yep.
And then you take some yogurt. The high-fat version is the best according to the BBC.
Shall I do the honours?
You're going to do the honours, indeed. Yeah.
Oh dear. So this is what the BBC wants us to do to our windows, I suppose.
Yeah.
This is supposed to keep us cool. Any normal country in the world installs air conditioning. Yeah. But according to certain organisations, that uses too much energy, and we should smear yoghurt on our windows or put wet towels around our necks like it's the 1st century AD.
We didn't prepare for that bit.
We didn't prepare.
My comment to you when you sent that is we don't care what the British think.
I just think that it's crazy that people don't have air conditioning. I mean,
you know what's equally as crazy as the BBC telling people to smear yogurt if you couldn't understand the Cockney accent on their windows is whenever the people here in Texas tell you got to set your thermostat to 78.
That's crazy.
That's just as crazy. I put setting your thermostat to 78 degrees in the summer inside your house and smearing yogurt on your windows. Those are in the same camp for me.
And just so we're having comparison, potentially it was supposed to be in the low 80s.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, low 80s with no AC is pretty dang hot.
I literally saw someone on Facebook this week say that they had turned their heater on in the car this week because it was so cool in Texas that they felt cold.
That's my wife.
I mean,
we'll be driving somewhere. She'll have the seat warmers on.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand. I don't understand it. Now, I'm very thankful that we have not had very many days over 100 degrees in the great state of Texas this summer so far, but we know it's coming. Mm-hmm. It may not be this week. It may not be next week, but it's just like death and taxes. It's the heat is coming. But it's funny to think that the Brits' solution to cooling is not air conditioning, but is to put yogurt on the windows.
If I hear that and I live in the UK, I'm going home and I'm packing my bags. I'm like, we're done. We're done here. We got to go somewhere else.
You could join Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, jeez.
Have a great week.
I'll see you.